Latest on Prime Minister Modi's two-day visit to Italy, where he is currently attending the G20 summit. Prime Minister Modi interacted with world leaders, US President Joe Biden and French President Emmanuel Macron. Remember, the focus of G20 this year is climate change, COVID-19 pandemic and the global economy. The Prime Minister will next be heading to Glasgow for the climate summit COP26. Earlier, Prime Minister called on Pope Francis in the Vatican City in his first-ever one-on-one meeting with the head of Roman Catholics. Prime Minister Modi was accompanied by a National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval, and External Affairs Minister, Dr. Shankar, to meet the Pope. His meeting with Pope went on for an hour. As per sources, Prime Minister has now invited the Pope to India.
Yes, a lot happened today. Basically, the G20 summit, 4 or 5 major issues came up. From the Indian side, first of all, as far as COVID is concerned and the vaccine particularly, the Indian government is very keen that everybody, even a small country which does not manufacture the vaccine, cannot afford the vaccine, should have enough quantities of it. That's the point, and that's how the G20 countries will be looking at the whole issue. Secondly, the equally important is the fact that after the massacre of the world economy by COVID, there has to be a reconstruction. It's almost like a Marshall Plan of 1945. And that effort will have to be made by all countries, particularly the G20 countries, the big G economies. That's really the second thing. The third, and equally importantly, is the fact that to ensure all this happens and goes quickly, climate change has to be resisted. And if the world temperatures rise by 2 degrees centigrade, it will be difficult for a lot of countries, including India, which is why India is pushing for the International Solar Alliance and so on. Fourthly, there is this issue of terrorism, and that should not be forgotten. And for that, India is making it very clear that terror financing has to be dealt with, and terror financing has to be dealt with properly. As you rightly said, there was a meeting with Macron, there was Biden, and also with the Pope, a sit-down meeting that lasted 1 hour, at the end of which Prime Minister invited the Pope to India.
And tomorrow, Prime Minister Modi with several other world leaders are all set to participate in COP26, an annual summit to discuss climate change. Eyes will be on India, which has so far exceeded targets set, and now the world is expecting more. However, India has not made the commitment about reaching net zero emissions yet. Speaking to us earlier, environmentalist Chandrabhushan explains why India needs to announce the targets crucial to mitigate climate emergency. Chandrabhushan, let me come to you on the net zero, near zero whole debate, where India so far has held out and not, made any commitment to when and how we're going to do this. You do believe that we should and that it is for our benefit. Would you want to explain that?
Absolutely. I have written about it. I think it is in the interest of the country that we announce a net zero target. And the reason is very simple. If we want to meet 1.5 Celsius target, then net zero is inevitable. Every country will have to meet one net zero emission target, whether they do it in 2040, 2050, or 2060. That's what the discussion should be. The discussion should not be whether we will have a target or not. We will have to have a target. So China has announced 2060. If you look at the Paris Agreement, the agreement says that globally we have to reach net zero by 2050, which means that certain countries will have to meet before developed countries, and developing countries will get a little bit more time, not a lot of time, but a little bit more time. So if US and Europe can do it by, say, between 2030, 2040, China will have to do between 2040 to 2050 because they are a big emitter now. Countries like India will have to do between 2050 to 2060. So it is not a lot of time, but it is in the interest of the country to announce net zero simply because it will force us to build a new economy. And that economy is emerging in front of our eyes, whether it is renewable energy, electric vehicles, battery technology, green hydrogen, All these technologies are emerging in front of our eyes. Whether we want to capture this market or not, or we want to remain with 19th century technology, that's the choice we have to make.
Yeah.
There's no other choice. So I very strongly believe that it is in the interest of the country, in the interest of growth and development in the country, that we take a net zero target and start building a plan to achieve it.